Hello and welcome to part 3 of our WCS tutorial. Right after part 2, we left off as we duplicated the part, we duplicated the Kurt Vise, and what we're going to do now is we're going to reorient the vise so that it is in a position where we're going to be machining the bottom of the part next. The way we're going to do that is by rotating this part of the vise 180 degrees and then bringing it back into position over at the part location. From this point forward, the part is going to be static. We're not going to move this in space because our WCS coordinates are based off these points. So we want to leave this alone and just rotate the vise kind of around the part in this instance. I'm going to go ahead and turn off our Op10 Kurt Vise. Oh, I'm sorry, we need to change that level first. Let's highlight the copied vise. I'm going to right click. We're going to go to change level, and we're going to go ahead and change that to level number 15. If yours is active, that's good. If not, you can change and you can turn the use active level off and select number 15 or whatever level number you happen to use. So our Op20 Kurt Vise now has two entities on it. Now we can go ahead and turn off the Op10 vise, and we can get ready to reorient this vise for use on the bottom of this part. So previously stated, we're looking at our top view. This orientation is great based off of this plane. What we want to do is flip the vise 180 degrees, and we're going to do that by using Dynamic again. You can click on Dynamic. Again, I'm just going to click in space, and then I'm going to decide what axis we have to use to rotate. So again, we're going to use this axis between Y and Z. I'm going to select that. I'm just going to double check and make sure we're moving in the right direction, which we are. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in 180 degrees and hit enter for the preview, enter to end the selection, and then we're going to click OK. All right, so now we're in good shape. All right, the vise is going to be in position to basically hold the part so that this is facing top. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create our next plane and position that here on the part. So I rotate it around so that I can get a clear view of the corner that we need. We want to do the bottom left-hand corner of the part again. All right. In this case, we're going to locate our new plane right here. This time, we're not going to use an existing plane for reference. We're going to create a new plane by clicking on the plus button up here, and we're going to do from solid face. Okay, so by clicking from solid face, we get a dialog box asking us to select a flat solid face. This right here is our flat solid face. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And what we're going to do now is review the orientation of our plane. Okay. In this case, plane 1 of 8 is the correct orientation that we want. We have Z positive starting from the plane going up, Z negative going down from the plane, and then we have our X and Y positions that are set up appropriately. Now, if the first selection was not correct, what you would do is you would cycle through all these options until you found the orientation that is right for your setup. But in this case, again, our first plane 1 of 8 is the correct one. All right. Right now, all we're doing is selecting the orientation. By clicking OK, saving this plane, we get a new dialog box that now lets us change our position in space. So in this case, this is going to be G54 or G55. I'm sorry, this is our next work coordinate offset. And this works in the same way that the previous one does. There's a cursor button here on the right-hand side next to the X input. I'm going to use that cursor to select my bottom left-hand corner of the part. And I'm going to say OK. Beautiful. Okay. So you'll notice now that our G55 is active and everything is set to defaults. I'm just going to hit this one more time and get it moving. Now, when I click on the G view here, you're going to notice that this is now basically our top plane, okay? We're looking down on the part now from this position, all right? So when I use my right clicks and do top and front and right in relation to this view, everything is now lined up again, okay? We're going to perform the same set of moves that we did for the op 10. What we're going to do is go to translate. I'm going to select the vise this time. Remember, we're not going to move the part. We're always going to move the vise from now on. So the vise is going to be moved. We're going to select these two pieces. We're going to end the selection. I'm going to do from and to. And I want the bottom left-hand corner here to be at the top left-hand corner over here at 0. And making it flush again with the vise. And we're going to move it the same way we did previously. So you'll notice that copy is highlighted here now because the last thing that we did was a copy, and it saved the radio button. So we need to make sure we move that to move. We don't want to copy it again. Everything else is okay. I'm going to click OK. Lovely. So I'm going to go back to our right side view again. And this time we're going to move the vise. Again, we're moving the vise, not the part. We want the part to stay static. I'm going to do translate. I'm going to select the vise. I'm going to click on the up and down arrow here on this gnomon. And I want to move -1/2 inch in this direction. Oops, not 50, -0.50. So that, again, the workpiece is sticking out above the device plane here. I'm going to click OK. And now we have our second operation set up and ready to be machined. Okay. This does start getting a little bit hairy. I recommend you practice doing this a little bit. Probably 3 or 4 times over the course of a week will kind of get you at least thinking about it, and you'll be able to do this relatively proficiently. But it's good to practice this. For simple parts like this, you don't necessarily have to do all this fixturing work, and you can even do a lot of this in SolidWorks or another CAD program if it's available. But I always make sure to show students this so that they can practice and learn how to orient parts in space, so that when they do have to do setups like this, they have that tool set to use. So now that we have our levels and our new plane set up for this, what I want to do is create the second view sheet here for this part. We want to have the part file turned on, and we want to have the op20 Kurt Vise turned on. We don't have to have this filler level turned on for anything. I'm going to basically position this in isometric so it's nice and clean and we can see the whole thing. And at this point, I'm going to right click on op20 and I'm going to hit Save View Sheet Bookmark. Okay. Now this is where you're going to see where the view sheets are kind of nice. So now what we can do is we can switch back and forth between the two. You see how easy that is? So the op10 again has all the op10 stuff saved on it, and it also sets the WCS stuff by default to that view sheet. When we switch to op20, you'll see that switches to the correct work coordinate offset plane, and it also switches levels for us automatically too. Okay, so that's pretty sweet when you're moving back and forth between operations instead of having to turn these on and off all the time. We have one more to do, and that is going to be this slot side here. We got one more vise to set up and one more view sheet to do. So we're going to start again by right clicking. We're going to do a new view sheet, and this is going to be operation 30. Oops. Rename op 30, enter. There we go. I'm going to create another level break. So level 20, fill that with asterisks. and then we're going to do a level 25, which is going to become our op 30 Kurt Vise. And we're going to follow the same steps. So this time again, I'm going to go to my top view. I am going to go to translate. I'm going to select the vise and the selection, and we're going to do another from and to, and we're going to do a copy. So we want a third copy of this vise. So copy. Just going to click in space again just to get it off in the distance here a little bit. So left clicking, bring that over. Going to hit OK. So here's our copy. We're going to do a clear colors again just to get the red off of the original piece. And now we're going to have to look at this and figure out how we're going to rotate this new vise here. It's going to be a 90-degree move. You can see we're going to want this to be on top. So I'm going to turn our op 20 Kurt Vise off. I'm sorry, we need to move this level again. So we're going to highlight the copied vise, right click, and we're going to move this vise to number 25. There we go. So we have our two entities on there. Now we can turn that operation off. And we need to do the same thing that we had been doing. We're going to go ahead and just orient the view using the middle mouse button to try so that we can see, you know, we get a good view of how we're going to rotate. I'm going to go dynamic. We're going to move the vise again. We're not going to move the part. And selection. And in this case, what we want to do is we want to hold, we're going to have the vise holding on these two flat surfaces here across the width. And the way we're going to do that is by clicking the gnomon down, and we're going to rotate in this axis here. You'll see how this is going to rotate the vise in the proper orientation. That looks pretty good. All right, that's the direction we want to go in. It's a 90-degree move. Okay. In this case, you'll notice that that's the wrong direction, right? We want to go the other way, 90 degrees. So in this case, we want to change that to negative 90. Now we have the right orientation. You see how that works? So again, negative is used for direction, a directional use only. I like that. I'm going to hit enter one more time, and then I'm going to go and click OK. Beautiful. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have to move the vise over to the part. All right. I'm going to do this in a couple different moves, the same way we did it last time using translate. We're going to select the vise. We're going to end the selection. We're going to make sure move is selected, not copy. We're going to do a from and to again. And just to start off, I'm going to use the bottom left-hand corner, the fixed edge of the vise, and I'm going to bring that to the bottom corner, bottom left-hand corner of the part over here. All right, so we're going to set our Z depth up after the fact. So again, make sure move is selected. I'm going to click OK. You also notice at this point we also need to we need to bring the jaw in a little bit closer as well. This distance right here is 3, okay, and the part thickness is 1. So that means we need to bring the vise in by 2 inches. We're going to do that right now. Let's do it this way. I'm going to orient the part just so I can kind of see what direction we're moving in. We're going to do a translate. I'm going to select just the movable jaw. Do an end selection. And again, I'm going to use my gnomon here. So this distance is what we want to do. We want to close this gap. I'm going to click on that, and we're going to go 2 inches in this direction. Okay, so that's going to be our clamping distance right there. It looks like we're going to need one more video. So WCS part 4 is going to be the completion of this part, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much.